Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've just finished watching the full breakdown of Section A for KCSE 2025 Computer Studies Paper 1, the compulsory 40-mark questions, give yourself a pat on the back because you've already tackled the foundation. Now it's time to step it up. We're moving into Section B, the deeper application-based part of the paper. As a quick reminder from the instructions, question 16 is compulsory. Then you choose any 3 from the remaining questions. That's another 45 marks. Total for Section B, 60 marks. These questions usually test your ability to apply concepts. Think flowcharts, pseudocode, database design, system development lifecycle, networking scenarios, and real-world problem solving. They carry more weight, so mastering them can really boost your overall grade. In this video, we'll go through each question in Section B, discuss what the examiner is looking for, and walk through model answers step by step. If you haven't watched the Section A video yet, pause this one and go check it out first. Link in the description and cards up top. All right, let's dive in, starting with the compulsory question 16.
Section B, question 16, compulsory question. First question, state 3 reasons why programmers prefer to write programs in high-level language. One is that these high-level languages, they are easier to learn, understand, because they use human readable syntax or language that is similar to human form. That is why we are saying that is one advantage. 2 is that these high-level languages, writing programs in high-level languages is faster compared to low-level languages. This is because of the fewer lines of code that are needed to write a program in high-level languages. So it is faster. That is another advantage. And thirdly is that these languages, they are portable in the sense that they can work across different computer systems, unlike low-level languages which are machine-dependent. They only work with a specific machines. Part B of question number 16, state the difference between the while loop and do while loop control structures as used in programming. What is the difference between the while loop and do while loop control structures as used in programming? We are saying that the while loop here, it first checks the condition. While it first checks the condition before executing the program statements or the body of the program. On the other hand, the do first executes the line of code or the statements or the body before it checks the condition. So the difference is that while has to check the condition before executing the program statements, whereas do first executes the program statements before it checks the condition. That is the difference between while loop and do while loop. Part C, explain the use of a counter in program algorithms. What is the use of a counter in program algorithms? We are saying that a counter is used to keep track of the number of times program statements or process or a loop has to be executed. It has to keep track how many times is these statements or the process or the loop is going to be executed. That is the use. And 2, it also helps to control those repetitions, what we also call iterations. It controls to monitor the repetitions or iteration. Part D, read the question. That is part D, drawing flowchart. It carries 8 marks, and as a learner you are required to come up with a flowchart that is going to be able to calculate the cost of the number of tickets that is bought by a fan. And based on the question, if you buy 1, 2, 3, 4 tickets, you will purchase each ticket at the cost of 200. And if you buy 5 tickets or more, 5, 6 or more, you will buy each ticket at a discount of 10%. So we want to draw a flowchart that is able to calculate the cost of tickets depending on the number of tickets that are bought by a fan. How do we proceed? Now, remember, when you're drawing a flowchart, you need to understand the symbols that are required in drawing a flowchart first, and very important that a flowchart must begin and end, or start and stop, and this is shown by the oval or ellipse symbol. To begin or start, that is where we have our oval symbol. And then, because this flowchart, the input here is the number of tickets that are required by the fan. So we need to use the input symbol, and here the input symbol is normally a parallelogram. Or rather, instead, you can also use a process symbol, and this process symbol reads the number of tickets that are required by the fan. So here, when you decide to use the process symbol, you will use a rectangle, so that this process symbol is going to execute a process, and the process in this case is the number of tickets that a fan requires. So first and foremost, we go to draw the oval symbol, that is start, that is where our flowchart begins. Then to the next process that comes in is the process symbol, whereby a process is going to happen or executed, and this process is the number of tickets that a fan requires. So from this process, we're going to make a decision, and this decision is represented by a rhombus or pyramid, depending on how you'd like to call it, a rhombus if you may. So this decision, we have to make a decision, and this decision has two outcomes. It's either the number of tickets the fan is buying less than 5 or 5 and more. So the question or the statement that is entered the decision symbol, which is depending on how you decide to represent this, you can use logical symbols or text if you prefer. So in my decision symbol here, I have decided to put 5 or more tickets, and we're saying that the output is either yes or no. So yes means the fan has bought 5 tickets or more, and therefore the next step that follows, if it is yes, this fan is going to get a discount of 10% on each of those tickets that he has bought. So if there are, let's say, 5 tickets exactly, this fan, 10% of 200 is 180, and that is where you get that the cost or that the fan will pay in this case will be the number of tickets, which will be 5, multiplied by the discount of 10% of 200, which will give you 180. And then from there, the process will go to the next step, which is to output or produce the results or the output, and in this case the output is the cost, and the process will terminate or stop, end if you like. Now, if this fan did not buy 5 or more tickets, the outcome here will be no, and therefore if it is no, means the cost of the tickets, let's say there are 2 tickets, would be 2 multiplied by 200, which is the cost, normal cost of a ticket. This fan did not qualify for the discount. The discount applies if there are more than 4, 5 or more. Therefore from there you'll go to the next step, which is to output or display, and the display is demonstrated by using a parallelogram, and finally the process will stop or end. And this is how a flowchart will look like. There are several ways of approaching this, and I do not want to delve into the different ways of doing this. In this case, I will use this simple, straightforward flowchart, and that is our flowchart. If you have questions, just ask. We'll be able to get back to you. The knowledge of designing flowcharts is very, very important to us computer students. You will remember that you also apply the same knowledge when developing system flowcharts in project work. So I will highly encourage you to always ensure you make this your favorite easy scores marks, and this can only be achieved through practice and practice and practice. Now let us go back to question number 17, part A. State 4 benefits of using robots in a hospital theater. How can you use robots in a hospital theater? You will remember that in the hospital theater, this is where operations happen. If you are to use robots in this kind of environment, what are the benefits that come with it? One, we are saying that robots are very precise and accurate, and therefore they can perform very delicate procedures and operations, reducing the risk of human error. That is one very important benefit, that robots are very, very precise and accurate, and therefore challenges that come with the risk of human error can be avoided. Two, we're also saying that robots can be used for invasive surgery. These are surgeries that require smaller incisions, as a result leading to faster recovery. Rather than opening up an entire body part, you can use smaller robots which can help penetrate these areas that need to be operated upon, and this makes recovery very easy. Thirdly, robots also reduce fatigue because they can perform very long and complex surgeries, under normal circumstances a normal doctor can get tired, and because they are robots being used in this case, the problem of fatigue can be avoided. Lastly, we're saying that robots enhance visualization. We are saying that robots can enhance visualization, allowing high definition views, and this can be useful in decision making for surgeons. Next question. The diagram below shows a topology, that is a bus topology, and on this bus topology you can see all the nodes are connected on the main backbone, and this main backbone is the one labeled A, and at the end of each backbone we have devices which are known as terminators labeled as B. Therefore, when you are asked to explain the function of the device labeled A, the backbone is the one that supports all communication of all the nodes that are connected to it. It's the one that allows transmission and data and signals to flow from one node to another. That is the function of the device labeled A. Roman 2, what is the effect on the network if device B failed to function? As we have said, that device B is what we call the terminator, and you will realize that the function of the terminator in this case is to allow the signals, to avoid the signals from bouncing back and forth. Suppose we have the nodes labeled, that is computer 1, 2, 3 and 4. They are all communicating. Once communication happens from a particular device, the signals move in one direction and they are not allowed to come back, because when they come back they will cause what we call distortion or voice or some electromagnetic interference. Therefore, if device B fails, it means that the whole network will also there will be a problem in transmission or communication. What are the disadvantages of this network topology? And this is a bus topology. One main disadvantage is that all the nodes on this topology are connected on a single backbone, which is the node, and therefore, unlike this unlike other topologies like the star, which every node has a dedicated communication or transmission media, and one node failure of the backbone brings down the entire network. That is one disadvantage. Secondly is that communication is rather slow because all data transmission happens on the same backbone, and therefore communication is slow. Part D, as a technician, what are factors to consider when acquiring an operating system to be used on the local area network? One factor to consider is compatibility. The operating system should be compatible with hardware and the software that's going to work with. Then two is scalability and performance. This operating system should be able to allow expansion of or addition of more nodes to scale up, and it should also be able to handle the performance of all these users. Thirdly, and very important on a network, the security of the operating system is very key. Part D, the question is Computer Express is a company offering research to individuals. Measures that the company should put in place to ensure that there is data integrity. One measure is backup, regular backup of data, and once the data has been backed up regularly, it will prevent any data loss. Two, we're also saying that the company should ensure it has control access to its information. Only authorized people are allowed to access information. Question number 18, explain two methods used to represent signed binary numbers in computers. Two methods that are used to represent signed binary numbers in computers. One, we have 2's complement, and two, we have sign and magnitude. When you're talking about signed binary numbers, these are numbers that have either positive or negative, and you can represent these numbers using either 2's complement, 1's complement, and also using sign and magnitude. Those are methods that you can use to represent signed binary numbers. Now, question number 18b, performing binary. Convert each of the following decimal numbers to the number system indicated. We are converting decimal numbers to the number system indicated. So let us go through this. Anytime you want to convert a decimal number to binary, the procedure is very simple and straightforward. That is, you divide the number repetitively by 2. Remember, this is a number which is in base 10. Decimal numbers, these are numbers that are in base 10, and you want to convert them to base 2. Since they are moving from base 10 to base 2, you divide the decimal number continuously or repetitively by 2 until the number is no longer divisible, and then you can pick the remainder from bottom up, and that is how to convert the numbers to their respective bases. Moving on to question number 19a, types of sample data used during testing in system development. The types of data that we can use during system development testing. One, we have what we call real data, or also known as valid data. This is one of the type of data that you can use during testing when you are testing your system. 2, we can also use what we call dummy data or assumed data or invalid data. This is data that can also be used in system development. Valid data, this one is data that meets all the requirements and therefore it's expected to be processed correctly. On the other hand, the dummy data, this is data that violates the rules and therefore it's supposed to test how our system is going to handle errors when they occur. Next, part B, an example of each types of transcription errors. And giving an example, we have misreading errors. And when you are talking about misreading errors, an example of misreading errors, for example, if you have a number like 125 and instead you type 1, 2 with an S, 5 you read it as an S, that is what we are calling misreading numbers. Then transposition means you change the position. If you have a number like 1, 3, 2, 5 instead of 1, 2, 3, 5, the positions that have been changed here is 3 and 2. That's why we are calling them transposition errors. Part C, explain 2 reasons that may necessitate installation of disk management utilities. What are some of the reasons that necessitate installation of disk management utility programs in the computer? One is to optimize the performance of the storage media or disk in this case. That is one reason that you might need to install them to optimize or increase the performance. And how can you do this? If you want to increase performance of a disk, by defragmenting. When you're defragmenting, you're consolidating. And 2, you can also do what we call disk checking. We want to check for errors on a disk. The diagram depicted, these are elements or characteristics of a system as you can see them. The question is, state the function of the part labeled A. The part labeled A, this is the feedback mechanism whereby the system undergoes through the process of input, process, output, and then we have a feedback. And this feedback is to help either adjust or improve performance of a system. 2, Roman 2, explain the function of each of the following elements. These elements or characteristics of a system, one of them is the environment. And when you talk about the environment, these provides the conditions under which the system operates. Environment, this provides conditions under which the system operates, and it also includes some external and internal factors. Another element or characteristic of a system are the boundaries. And when you talk about boundaries, the boundaries define the limits of the subsystem. How far can this system or subsystem go, and therefore allowing data or control signals to pass through. They define those limits where the data and the control signals can pass through. Question number 20, part A. Explain the function of each of the following types of registers in a central processing unit. What is the function of an accumulator register in CPU? We are saying that the accumulator register, this one temporarily holds the data or instruction that is being processed. It temporarily holds this data or instruction that is being processed, and mainly this data is in form of mathematics or arithmetics. Then we also have what we're calling the address register. The address register stores the memory address or instruction to be accessed. It stores the memory address or the instruction that is to be accessed, helping the CPU locate that next instruction, that address where this instruction is stored. That is the function of the address registers. And lastly, the function of the instruction register is to hold the current instruction being executed by the CPU. Accumulator register holds the data being processed, address register stores the memory address of the next instruction to be processed, and the instruction register holds the current instruction being executed by the CPU. Part B. Computerized vehicles have been designed to automatically self-park with no human driver intervention. Explain the benefits that a town would gain from allowing this automatic self-park. One, we are saying that when we have computers that allow this automatic self-parking, one is that it will reduce traffic congestions. And how does it reduce traffic congestions? This reduces the time for searching for these parking spots. As a driver, you need to look for an area you might need. If you are, for example, in a town, there are a lot of cars or motor vehicles on the road, so you will need, the time that you need to look for a parking spot is going to be reduced because everything will happen automatically. Two is that it optimizes the parking space available, because it's able to precisely allow more cars to fit in a parking spot. Three, we're also saying that it improves on safety and therefore minimizing human error during parking, and because of that it reduces accidents. And lastly, we are saying that it also lowers emission, since there are less vehicles idling around in search of parking spots. Therefore there will be less emission, and it also cuts on fuel. These are some of the benefits that a town can benefit from automatic self-park. We can also say that it also enhanced accessibility. Part C. Sophia System Analyst has been tasked to implement a new system developed in her company. State 3 activities that Sophia will carry out during system implementation. The 3 activities that Sophia will carry out during system implementation. 1, Sophia will require to test the system that is being implemented. 2, training of the users of that system is another task Sophia will be required to do, and also Sophia will be required to installing and testing goes hand in hand, training the users, and also data migration, exporting the data from the old system to the new system. Those are some of the activities that Sophia will undertake during system testing, and that marks the end of section B. Thank you very much.